Oh, we're recording.
No, we're good.
Yes, it's time.
Did you?
I didn't do anything. It just started.
Did you wave?
I was fixing my hair.
Oh, yeah, the hand.
It wasn't even. It wasn't like this. That's what you normally do. It was like, let me fix my hair.
It's sensitive. All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
Hey, we're back.
Welcome.
Oh, we are continuing our book club, The Answer, John Assaraf and Murray Smith.
Chapter 3. We finished chapter 3.
We finished chapter 3 today. Today was the Law of Attraction.
Yes, it was the Law of Attraction.
Thoughts?
I'm attracted to the law. Just kidding. Torque, party of one right here.
I don't know what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, what did you think was going to happen?
So you liked it?
That's
your feedback.
My feedback is like it was not really anything new to me because we've read so much about like manifesting, and I studied quantum physics, and like, I think the only thing that was new really for me, or just really a reminder, is that you can make all the plans that you want and visualize as much as you want. But if you don't actually do anything, nothing will happen.
Yes.
So that reminder was a good one for me. Like, you have to actually put some more physical effort in, not just the mental effort.
I really liked the so the first time that I read this chapter drove home a couple of things for me that really helped me, like, I guess, come to terms with the idea of the law of attraction. I loved that he called out outright the people who somehow or another become misguided into believing that the law of attraction is all about just really wishing for something.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you just believe hard enough and just sit there, believe in, it'll come.
Yeah, no.
Nothing comes that way.
Yeah, nothing
happens
that
like
way.
that.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that, because as soon as I read that, I was like, okay, this book is for me. He is speaking to me. And then, so a couple of the things that helped to drive home, the previous chapter, there was that discussion of quantum entanglement. The idea that cells from a human being can be separated, cultured miles away and still respond instantaneously as though the person were there. Taking that and then moving into the analogy that he gives with sound in this chapter.
And water.
There's this analogy of how the various states of matter, water is still at its core the idea of water, and that it exists even when we can't see it, and
because it's
the physical ice cube comes from first the idea, followed by the process that leads the vibration of the water that already exists out there in the air or whatever, to eventually come to that vibrational state where it is a solid. So that helps my nerd brain wrap around how could this work a little bit better.
I see. Yeah, I feel like I have always lived with the idea of karma. It's probably, partially my mother and familial relations, just, always talking about doing good, treat people as you want to be treated, because otherwise that will create something that you don't want created, right? And so maybe that's why the law of attraction has been easy for me to accept, because I have been able to see the karmic connections in my when I was younger, and so the law of attraction was just easy for me to accept as how the world works, right? As though, I've often thought about, the world I live in is different from the world other people live in, and it's because of the way I think, right?
What do you mean? In what ways is your world different, I guess?
I think what I'm talking about is like the way I see my world, may not necessarily be the same way some other person sees their world, even though we interact and that just because of the way I think and the energy I put out, and maybe that has nothing. Maybe you can just edit this out. Just let me talk for a second. Yeah, but like, I have often in my life been told the world doesn't work that way, and I have found many times that the world works the way I want it to work, because it's what I believe or the way I perceive, right? And that does tie into the law of attraction in the sense that it's my energy that I'm putting out into the world that I'm believing, and so that's what I get back.
Now, see, that's very interesting to me, because the very challenge that I have with the law of attraction, or had with the law of attraction, was that I have never been comfortable with looking at coincidence as causality. So even when other people have taught it to me from the paradigm of causality, I am immediately suspicious of superstitious attitudes and behaviors. So I really appreciated that it gave me a way to make sense of how this could work, because the visualization is such a huge part of it. And if I can't, it is for some reason very difficult, if not impossible, for me to get my brain to see a thing as having happened without seeing any kind of a tangible, rational path that leads there at all. If I can't see any way that from where I am I could be someplace else, I could get someplace else, it's impossible for me to clearly crystallize a vision of me in that place in my head.
I get that. I do.
You do?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I feel like we've talked about this in the past, and it's hard for me to see. I can feel. That has to do with me personally also. Like
Just the kind of person you are.
Yeah, the kind of person I am, and the skills that I've developed in my own in my life, right? And so I have lived my life doing a lot of energetic feeling, and so it is easy for me to feel what it would be like to be in that situation, right?
Gotcha.
But to actually see the images of a situation, I have to work really hard at. Like the vision piece, it's a lot of times fuzzy, or I have to be like very quiet and let it come. But usually the feeling comes first for me.
The vision piece and the like details of what it looks like, what it sounds like, all of that stuff. That's where all of the emotional component comes from for me. Like even when I'm living in the moment, like the things that I love about being in our space are like looking at the subtle texture and color differences on the leaves of the plants in our house, looking at the subtle textures and the way the light reflects off of the paint on our walls, like it's the occasional smells of country home and dusty wood and things like that. Like those are the experiences that I have to reach to ground me in reality at all.
Okay.
Because I am such a like up in my head kind of person by nature.
Right.
Like I could easily just dissociate from reality and just never come back.
I see.
It would just be too easy for me to untether. And so like grabbing onto those kind of tangible details and really exploring them in their minutia and picking them apart in my brain is like how I stay present and grounded. So being able to, getting back to the book, The other analogy that he gave that really helped me a lot with visualization was the one of the singer.
Oh.
Talking about how, you know, it's not just a matter like and the many levels on which that analogy works, like that the song existed long before the singer was born,
Right.
but the song was not fundamentally different when the singer sang it. You know what I mean? It is that song, that idea is the same idea throughout all of history from the moment that the first person wrote that song. But the song continues to exist with or without the singer. The song only matters or impacts anything when the singer brings it into this physical world and gives it a tangible energy. It contributes their energy to this song. And they're essentially releasing energy attuned to the frequencies of this song in the pattern that this music is meant to produce. And those patterns move through not just air as waves, but then transfer that exact same pattern through other materials in different ways. And it alters the sound a little bit, yeah. But ultimately what you hear outside in the street, what, you know, your brain translates as electrical impulses from vibrations in your inner ear and all of this, is what that singer had in their mind.
Yeah.
They put what was in their brain into the fluids in your body. And they didn't even know you were there. You know what I mean? That's unbelievable power. And you know, to take that onto that sort of less physical level of ideas and focus and manifestation and whatever like that really spoke to me. Like for my nerdy over analytical brain who needs to understand how things work, that was a very cool concept.
I get that. I think I didn't. I don't. Maybe part of the reason it was easy for me to grasp is because for me in my life, before I knew about The Secret or the Law of Attraction or anything like that in my life, I manifested you.
Right.
And so I had a manifestation experience before I knew anything about it, right? And I was able then to obviously put words and thoughts behind my experience,
right,
to give it validation, I guess, in some ways, because it, you know, I in the world that I come from, to say that I manifested my husband into being for me, my life partner, a lot of people would look at me like I was crazy.
Sure.
But that is what happened. I had a dream. I prayed and put energy out there every day for quite a while. I put myself out there in life and I offered acceptance, right? And like, that is how I came to be in this relationship with you. Long before I knew about The Secret or The Answer or the Law of Attraction. So maybe that's why it was easy for me to
That makes
just
sense.
accept, because I had already had the experience.
I had asked God when I was in 3rd grade to stop raining on me because I had to walk to school. And I hated walking in the rain. It made me miserable. It just ruined my whole day every time it happened. My clothes would stay wet all day, then they would smell weird, and I hated it. So I asked God if I could just not have to walk in the rain anymore. And for the entire remainder of the school year, every single day, it did not rain when I walked to school or when I walked home. Even if it was raining when I got up, it would stop raining by the time I got to the front door and pick back up by the time I got up to the 2nd floor of the school. Every single day for the entire year. I would say that if you take out the nouns that were chosen, or the dogma surrounding our associations with it, that was my first successful manifestation, I would say. Then I also had lots of things that I asked God for that seemed far less selfish and far less stupid and far less small, and I didn't get. And that was the reason it wasn't so easy for me to just accept that this is just how the universe works. That it felt to me like there is nuance to this, there is more to this that I'm missing somehow. And I suspect that for that reason, when I came across the Secret, it was not only harder for me to just accept it, on
Right.
blind faith,
Yeah.
but it was easier for me to reject it because
Right.
it conflicted with my own experience directly in
yeah.
my mind.
Yeah.
And it's because I didn't understand all the nuance surrounding it, and that there was a lot more to it, including gestation, the law of
Right,
gestation,
yeah.
which was also a big part of this chapter.
Yes.
That there is a certain amount of time that things take to bake. You
Mhm.
can't make a cake any faster than an oven will bake it.
Yeah.
And if you try to rush that, what you come out with is not cake. That wasn't the analogy they used, but same notion.
Yeah.
So that was helpful. The reminder that no amount of focus and manifestation is going to somehow contort everything to just instantly make stuff happen.
Yeah.
That some things just take the time they take.
Right.
And then the law of action.
Yeah.
The fact that in that time you are not just sitting around waiting for it.
No.
You are keeping your eyes open. You're keeping
Yeah.
your ears open. You're looking for the opportunities
You're
and the
learning
signs and the
and
nutrients,
growing and
yeah.
yeah.
and that you're taking advantage of them when they come.
I think that also, like when I think about my experience, my major manifestation experience,
Mhm.
when I think about that, all of those things, the gestation, the growth that has to occur,
Mhm.
it wasn't overnight. It wasn't. It sounds like it. In reality, it was a short period of time. I had a dream. I put energy into it every day for 6 months. It was literally 6 months. But during that time, I was also growing myself as a person, and really working to be someone who should be in a relationship, right? Like there's something to be said about relationships,
big.
right? Yeah, that's huge.
Preparing yourself to
yeah.
be the kind of person who can accept and do something with that gift once it gets there.
Correct.
Whatever it is that you're trying to manifest.
I there's a
huge.
book that I read during that time period that it just stuck with me. It was Real Love, that was the name of it, and it talked about, what it means to really love someone and the types of love there are in the world. And I just wanted to have that and be that, and I put those principles into practice before you came along, and that I think really did prepare me for being in a relationship.
And to your credit, I described you in those early days, like when people would ask about you, I would describe you as essentially like just a human being who was just pure love embodied. Like you just were love. You didn't know how to be any other way, and it was amazing.
I don't.
Yeah. Great.
So
law of attraction,
yeah.
or law of focus, I guess.
Law of
really.
focus, yeah.
Having a crystal clear picture of where you want to be. Understanding then that once you've cast that vision, it will take time to materialize, and doing the work to help it along as those opportunities come along. And speaking of which, great segue into a really important point that I wanted to throw out there. One of the things that I love about the answer is that once you've read through the whole thing, you kind of understand what it is that they're talking about and how to implement it in your life and all of that good stuff. One of the challenges that I had with The Secret was that because it did come off to me like it was saying, hey, you should really clearly visualize and dream about your thing and then just sit on your butt and wait for it to show up.
Yeah, think about it daily, and yeah.
One of the problems that I had with that was you are risking everything. Because your life is just made up of each day that you have and what you do or don't do in that day. That's the experiences you have. That's your whole life. So you're putting your whole life on pause in that scenario in hopes that eventually it'll be something you want it to be.
Yeah.
And then what? You won't have lived in who knows how long. What are you going to do with it then?
Yeah.
Just magically start living now? But what I loved about this process is that if you look at what your life looks like and what your actions are in each of those 3 periods, through each of those laws, there's no potential loss here. There's no way that you end up anything but better off, even if it turned out that the whole thing was nonsense. It's not. But even if it turned out, objectively, to be complete balderdash, how can it possibly harm you to be very clear about your goals? How can it harm you to be very patient about achieving them? And how can it harm you to do the work each day that it takes to achieve them? Go ahead, let me know the part that sucks. So you can only end up ahead, and if you throw yourself into it knowing that your life will only get better by doing this, whether it's achieving every dream you've ever had, or just you're a more resilient person and life feels less hard, it's worth it, and that's a pretty cool thing.
I agree. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks. You're awesome. Chapter 4 coming up next, obviously, for those of us who aren't great at math. And we'd love to hear your thoughts as well. We'll talk to you soon.